Why are audiobooks so popular? It seems like everyone is listening to them. This particular form of entertainment seems to be gathering or gaining a lot of momentum. People are listening to audiobooks, podcasts, radio plays, and so much more. But what's the big appeal? Well, today we are going to look into whether you should consider turning your manuscript, your novel, into an audiobook. Here are 5 ways to turn your book into audible medium. And this particular article, you can find it online, Writer's Digest, and it's written by Marissa DeCure, and it was published April the 3rd, 2022. Audiobooks are one of the fastest growing formats in publishing, but what's the appeal? Why are they so popular? Well, first, they don't compete for a reader's time the way a printed book or a screen does. Most people tune in to an audiobook while multitasking, such as cleaning or driving. I know for me, I listen to audiobooks while washing dishes, and obviously this is a daily task, so that means I spend quite a bit of time listening to audiobooks while I'm doing chores. Do you listen to audiobooks? And if so, when do you use them? Is it when you commute to and from work? Is it while you're waiting in line at a grocery store? Is it while you're waiting for your children at the beginning of a school day or end of a school day? And what type of audiobooks do you find appealing? Or perhaps you listen to a podcast. Is that your niche? Is that the thing that you like to do? One thing I can say about audiobooks is that I have seen an improvement over the years. The dramatization is amazing. The multicasts are amazing. I also find that some narrators are gifted in that they can switch from a male voice to a female voice to a child's voice to an older person's voice. There are so many talented people out there that are narrating books. The second reason to turn your book into some type of audio medium is that audio storytelling is more creative and accessible than ever. Gone are the days of dull, colorless readings, scratch CDs, and bulky cassette cases. Audio media is now downloadable with the press of a screen, and the possibilities for engaging your audience are more diverse and exciting than ever. If you own the rights to your book or have your publisher's permission, you should definitely explore the fresh ways you can bring it to life. Here are just a few ways you can get creative with your audiobook. 1. No human narrator. No problem. Ultra-realistic text-to-voice technology is evolving fast. Not only is the technology sounding more natural than ever, but it's also becoming more accessible than ever. Soon, it will be feasible for authors, especially indie authors, who may have limited budgets, to easily produce and distribute their own audiobooks without a studio or recording equipment. For example, recently Ingram has partnered with Deepson to make AI audiobook narrator technology available to Lightning Source authors. The AI narration uses a realistic text-to-voice technology, capturing all the elements of the human voice, which could save authors thousands of dollars on hiring a real narrator. While AI narrators aren't universally available, diverse, or advanced yet, the possibilities for the future are very promising. Imagine if you could upload your text manuscript, select various voices for the different characters, voices that are practically indistinguishable from a live reading, add music and sound effects, and produce a gripping audiobook just with the touch of a few buttons. Producing an audiobook is easier than ever, and we can't wait to see what the future holds. Marissa DeCure's online Writer's Digest article continues. Second, release your story as a podcast. The serialized novel has made a comeback thanks to podcasting. Some authors are taking the most straightforward route by setting up their podcast and reading their books aloud during each episode, which usually lasts between 15 minutes to an hour. This bite-sized audio approach is meant to cater to shorter attention spans. And also, if you're savvy about it, build anticipation for the next installment. Ideally, the author will be able to grow an engaging listening audience in real time. Number 3, release your story as a radio play. There are even more interesting and creative ways to convey your story in audio than by simply reading it aloud. Radio theater has been transfixing listeners for decades, and thanks to audiobooks' booming popularity, it's making a resurgence. Authors like Neil Gaiman have turned some of their most popular novels, such as Neverwhere and The Sandman, into radio plays with multiple voice actors, sound effects, and musical clues that bring the story vividly to life. The radio plays rely on dialogue between characters rather than an omniscient narrator to convey the action, and a variety of sound effects to create atmosphere and setting. They are truly a movie for your mind. The fourth thing you can do to turn your manuscript or your novel into audio medium is to release your story as an immersive fictional podcast. Welcome to Night Vale is one of the most well-known fictional podcasts. Rather than reading a story about a town called Night Vale, the creators of this beloved podcast position their content as a real radio show coming from the real town of Night Vale, a town where nothing is as it seems. An immersive podcast is a creative choice for any author who is interested in world building beyond the page and bringing their stories, especially if they are fantasy, paranormal, horror, sci-fi, Lovecraftian, dystopia, etc., to life in a fresh way. Lastly, the fifth and final way to take your manuscript and turn it into some type of audio medium is to release your story as an interactive podcast. What if your readers, or listeners in this case, have an active say in developments and even in the conclusion of your narrative? Stories can take on a choose-your-own-adventure quality when you are releasing audio content each week. Create your basic podcast structure, characters, themes, major plot points, and then actively solicit input from your listeners for where the story should go next. Listeners will be more highly engaged when they hear their story suggestions incorporated into the next episode. I have 11 audiobooks that are currently available on Spotify, on Audible, on Amazon, on Overdrive, on all of the platforms that distribute audiobooks. But I never thought about using my material in another way, such as interactive podcasting or radio play. So these are things that I am going to consider. I may not implement them all, but just knowing that they exist and that they are available, I find that to be useful material, useful information. I hope this video has been helpful to you. I truly enjoy doing the research. And in case you haven't guessed, I am learning right alongside you. So if you have any suggestions for future videos, please leave a comment and I will definitely look into it. Until next time, I'm wishing you love, peace, joy, and happiness. As always, bye-bye.